were younger. You were too hung up on blaming your teachers for how they spoke to you. You're too hung up on anything that happened to you years ago. I'm not trying to discredit your pain, but you gotta let that go. And because of that, you aren't able to appreciate the strength and power you have today. You aren't able to step into that power because you are choosing to justify excuses every single time you open your eyes. It's time to take responsibility. Understand that you are in control of how you feel every day. What you do every day. How you act every day. So don't get it twisted. The excuse that these outside sources control how you feel, what you do, and how you act is just a justification that has been drilled into your head since you were younger. Break out of it. Understand that we have the power to change our lives. Stop putting the power in other people's hands by blaming them for your current situation. Take that back. Choose to shift the trajectory of your life so you can live up to your true potential.
That feeling where every fiber of your being wants to give up is the test. The test to see if you actually want this shit. The test to see if you got what it takes to make the dream a reality. The test that so many others have failed. You owe it to you to keep pushing. Get out of your fucking head and into your shoes. Get out of your head and take action. Scream, affirm who you are. I am unstoppable. I am unwavering. I am relentless. I am obsessed, and I will never quit until I make that thing my fucking reality. Nothing will stand in my way, and I don't care if the weight of all worlds is on my back. I will never kneel. Not everybody's meant to win. Not everybody's meant to be great. But I think you are. I get it. I understand what you're going through. I understand what you're feeling. Day after day, week after week, month after month, it just feels like that weight on your shoulders, on your back, is just getting heavier and heavier and heavier. And it's not letting up. But I get it. You feel like you should be further along because you have been pushing and pushing and pushing without anything happening.
Yes.
You feel like you should already be there. You feel like you should have already succeeded in your venture. So it's super frustrating when you look up and you realize you've barely moved forward.
Barely moved forward. Come on now.
Some might tell you that quitting isn't that bad, and that you need to learn when to quit. But not today.
Not today. Tell me.
In order to achieve the goal, the dream life, that next step, it's gonna take time. And when I say time, I don't mean a couple months.
No.
And I don't mean a couple days. When I'm talking about time, it might take decades for you to get to where you want to be. How badly do you want it? Are you in for this shit?
Are you in for it?
Or are you just another person who likes to talk? But that's the reality of the life we live in. That's how this shit works. Achieving anything is gonna take time. It's harder than it looks.
Yeah, okay, that's it. That's enough. That is enough motivation. That's some good motivation, though. That's some good motivation. It takes a lot. It takes a lot. Hold on. Fix you up. It takes a lot to get what you want. If it was easy, you'd already have it. If it was easy, you'd already have it, and so would everybody else. whatever it is that you want, whatever your goals are that you want. If it were easy, don't you think everybody would have the best life? They'd already have everything that they wanted. Everybody would be billionaires, multi-billionaires. They'd be. It takes a lot. It takes a lot. And you know, I'm happy that I am here to share with you today the blueprint to get that success. So I'm not gonna be like most of those other people that's gonna say it's gonna be super easy and everything's gonna be laid out in front of you, and that like when things get tough, just go get a hug and get a little kiss in your boo-boo and it's gonna be better. I'm not here to tell you that. I'm telling you it's gonna take work. It's gonna take time. You know, the crazy thing is that a lot of you that I chat with, that I work with, a lot of you that I help out and encourage, a lot of you want it so badly. You just don't know what is the blueprint to getting the success that you feel like you deserve, because you do. And you deserve a lot more. You do. So if you are somebody who has always felt like there's more out there for you, you just don't know how, you're in the right place. If you're young and you don't want to be the same exact way that the people before you have been, not saying that there's anything wrong with that, but you want to make an actual difference. You want to be the transitional character of your family and of the legacy forever, you're in the right place. As long as you're willing to put in hard work, right? Consistent work. Let's say that you're a little bit older. You're getting closer to retirement. You want to make sure that your family is set up because you lived a whole life having a struggle. You don't want them to have to struggle. You're in the right place, because I will give you the blueprint to whatever that is. And I'm happy to give you the blueprint today about goal setting and holding yourself accountable. So today is all about your goals and how to reverse engineer them. It's a term that we use in the financial industry of like our actual goals and what it takes to actually get there, like the exact steps it takes to get there. What today I'm going to teach you, and I'm going to tell you right now, like if you are in business, I'm going to hurt somebody's feelings. If you are in business and you don't know what it takes to get to the top of your company, one, probably find an additional business. One. Two, ask, what does it take for me to get to the top of the company? How much work do I need to do? What kind of business do I need to get? Right? How exactly are you going to get there? And if it's not easily laid out, today is when I'm going to teach you how to figure out how to easily lay out those goals. So I've got a couple of different pieces I want to go over. But first, I actually want to talk about why it is important. You guys know I come up with lists. I want to talk about why it's important to master reverse engineering your goals. Why it's important to master reverse engineering your goals, and what is it? Right? And I think that a lot of people probably have never even heard of reverse engineering your goals. Actually, before I do that, I wrote down my list, but I want to reverse engineer. Reverse engineering is a process of analyzing and understanding the design, structure, and functionality of a product or a system by working backwards from its final form. I want to open this up for you. Open image. Actually, yeah, I'm going to share this with you so you can see. All right. Here we've got 3 basic steps of reverse engineering. 1, information extraction. 2, modeling. And 3, review. Information extraction. The original object or design is studied and information about it is extracted. So this is whatever your goal is. All right. So your goal is designed and it needs to be studied and you need to pull information about how to ultimately get there. All right. Modeling. The information collected is abstracted into a conceptual model. So it's built into a way that is easy for you to then get there. Like it can't just be, oh, my goal is to make $100,000. You need to design and study that first, get that's your goal. You need to create a way to get there. Well, how are you going to do that? Well, by helping out clients. Okay. So that's the information extraction. Modeling is the conceptual model that you're going to do that. Well, how do you help out clients? What does the process look like? How much time does that take? Things like that. All right. And then review. The model is tested in different contexts to determine if it was successfully reverse engineered. So then you take and you go backwards and you figure out, well, if I break it all the way down to this little tiny piece, at that point, can I take that and duplicate it all the way up until I reach my goal? All right. 3 basic steps of reverse engineering. And so the purpose of it is to find out how something actually works and how you can benefit it to whatever it is that your business model, your idea, your structure, or whatever is. But when it comes to your goals, it's a little bit different. Right? Well, it's the same. But we're going to break it down, the pieces and the strategies of which it is important. Obviously, I think that reverse engineering comes into play where you have potential obstacles that stand in your way. And so that way you can understand how to best navigate them, as well as when you're coming from the back all the way forward. So number 1, first thing that I need to teach you about mastering reverse engineering your goals is obviously you have to understand your end goal. Obviously, you got to know where you're going. If you don't know where you're going, you're not going to be able to master your end goal. I mean, duh. It's like if I pull up, where are we at? If I pull up my whiteboard, move view. Where is, give me full view. I want full view. There we go. All right. So for instance, we're talking about an end goal. Let's say that my end goal here is $500,000. That's my end goal, right? And in this case, if I am trying to get here, I'm trying to get here, how do I get there? Well, what reverse engineering tells you is if you understand your end goal, you understand exactly what that is. So yeah, my goal is $500,000. But truly, how much is that? Let's say that I'm in a business where I profit only about, let's say that I have my own business, my own store, and my store profits $100,000 a year on average from 12 months of work. And in those 12 months, typically we have over 50,000 store visits per year, right? 50,000 store visits per year. Year gets us 100,000. So if my goal is to make $500,000, that means that I need, obviously 100,000 divided by 50,000 is 2, right? So I'm going to divide this by 2. And that gives me 250,000 store visits. So I need to have 250,000 store visits in order to make $500,000. So if I want to do that in not 5 years, if I want to do that in the next 12 months, I now have my end goal. I now have my end goal. 250,000 store visits in the next 12 months. Now I have that goal. So that's step one. That is step one. Figure out your end goal. Now, this might be my end goal. But step two is you need to identify the steps needed to get there. So how do I get to 250,000 store visits in just 12 months when I'm used to 50,000 in a year? I need to massively increase the amount of store visits I'm getting. All right. So with your end goal firmly in mind, it's time to identify all the steps required to achieve it. All right. So this is where we have to actually map out every action, every task, every prerequisite, everything. Like, we cannot leave anything unturned at all. And we need to start to prioritize our operations, our life, our goals, our priorities, everything with that. And then also understand the challenges that are going to come along with it. All right. So for instance, in this case, store visits, some of the things that I might need to do is increase marketing. And so I'm going to have to figure out, one, how do I need to increase, what way is going to increase marketing? So I could do free coupons, coupon books, or so, or maybe pick a giveaways or something like that, right? And I need to actually pick these out. What things are going to come in a way? I'm going to map out right here. Well, for giveaways, some of the things that might come in a way is that the potential prospects who I'm trying to come in, my prospective market might decrease. And why would it decrease? Is because if I'm just doing giveaways, then a lot of the people that I would ultimately want to come and purchase from my store, those people might end up having less income or less money, cash flow, to be able to come in and actually buy something from the store. Granted, this is only store visits. So typically, on average, not everybody that visits my store is going to buy something, since I'm only talking about store visits. But if my store visits is ultimately 250 and I have more of those people who typically don't buy coming, if typically 20% of people don't buy something, that's going to shoot up if I have these giveaways. That might go up to 30% because of the prospective market from giveaways. So now I understand that. Well, how do I adjust for that? Well, now maybe I'm okay with that. Maybe I just need to shoot this goal up to 75. All right, or whatever the case is. So I need to identify the steps required, identify or increase marketing. Maybe another thing that I should do is also open the store hours, open hours a little bit more. All right, so what kind of potential things can that actually have? All right, step 3 is to actually now reverse engineer your path. So this is where the true power of reverse engineering comes into play at, where you start with your end goal and you're working backwards. So actually mapping out necessary milestones. Now, when it comes to money, and this is something that you guys should understand, when it comes to money or financial goals, for your time frame, if this is your time frame here, and I obviously I suck at drawing straight lines. If this is your time frame from month 1 to month 12, I'm sure a lot of you think, well, straight in the middle, if my financial goal was $500,000, well, by this point in time, I need to make half of that. That's what normal people will say, which is false. One of the things I learned from a great leader of mine who's been in the business of the financial industry, setting massive financial goals, says instead, month 1 to month 12, I really suck at this. Hold on. I'm going to do a much better job for you guys. There we go. Good job, Charming. All right. Instead, when you're halfway there, you only need to get this part to be the first 40% of your goal. First 40% of your goal. And then the last 60, I actually did a pretty good job making that. 60% is on the second half. So first half, second half. First half you do 40%, the second half you do 60%. Why? Why? Is because as you start to build yourself, the momentum from building is going to come into play. And you can even break it down further, right? And this, the first half, 40% of the first half, 60% of the second half of the first half, right? So your quarters, 40, 60, and then again, 40% and 60%. So in this case, my 40% of 500,000 will be 200,000. I'll make this green for money. So $200,000 needs to be made in the first half, and the last 300 needs to be made in the second half of the year. And that's just because the momentum. You're going to start off obviously slower. You're not going to have as many employees because as you continue, as you're opening up your store hours, you're increasing your marketing or whatever your steps are, you're going to need more resources. And as you need more resources, you're going to gather more resources. You're going to have more money and things like that. And so your momentum is going to start to rise the more, stop that. The more you get into your business, right? The more you get into your goals. All right, so that's money goals though. What about regular goals? What about the goal of the fact that I want to, instead of thinking of it this way, or maybe I do want to think of it that way, but maybe for the purposes of, you know, my employees, I need to think about it as store visits or that piece. So when it comes to store visits, I've got to make 200. I've got to get 250,000 store visits in the next 12 months. So this is where, yeah, you could ultimately try to do the 40, 60% thing as well, which would ultimately help out as well. But instead of thinking of it on a timeline like this is where you want to start to reverse engineer in a different way, where now you say, okay, well, if I need to get 250,000 store visits, how many people need to see my store? So typically, how many people see my store? Well, if out of 5 people seeing my store, 5 views in any way, shape, or form, whether that's on social media, they walk past the store, whatever, I get 1 visit. It means now I need to have 250 store visits. I don't know why I keep forgetting that. It means I need to now multiply 250 by 5, which brings me to 1.25 million views total. Now, how do I get those 1.25 million views? So now I need to actually break down. Well, if 25, or we'll make it easy. We'll say if 20% of views comes from walkers who walk by, and then the other 80% of views comes from social media, that means now I need to break this down. So I'm going to do 20% over here, 80% over here. And obviously for a lot of different businesses or companies, whatever the case is, these are going to be different. You probably have much more, whatever the case is, right? But literally, this is the process of reverse engineering. So 20% of 125, 1.25 million times 0.2, 250. I guess I could have literally come up with that. So 250,000 views needs to come from people walking by. And then the rest of this 1 million views needs to come from social media. And so now I know exactly, well, how do I get this many people to walk by my store? And I can create even more goals and come back up here to, well, if I open store hours, I need to open store hours up to larger groups. Maybe people are walking by more often in the mornings, and I'm not open early enough in the mornings. Right? So you can start to do things like that and change up and realign your goals. Social media, it's pretty easy pretty easy in social media nowadays to be able to just do some marketing, some advertisements, some promotions into your area to get this. And so that can dramatically help. And it's in this example that I just gave is actually pretty great that most of the visits come from social media views like this, because then you can ultimately just easily go and literally put an advertisement out there to get more views. Right? Now, these might be unrealistic numbers for stores or whatever. I'm not a store business owner or business owner, but this is how you would then go and ultimately reverse engineer your goals. And then let's say this for a whole 12 months, I'm going to divide each of these by over the course of 12 months, or even by the week, divided by 52 weeks. And if I were to do 1 million divided by 52 weeks, that's 19. So we'll go 20,000 people need to see my business on social media per week. And then whatever this is over here, right? Now I can very easily go on, make an advertisement for, we'll say 30 to 40,000 people to view my business per 2-week period on social media. And that right there breaks it down into easy bite-sized ways to get 250,000 visits to my store. And I've got the goals here to track money-wise how much I need to make. And then I've also got the individual goals per week, exactly what I need to do as well. That is the third step and third important piece of why you need to be measuring your goals. Now, from there, it's very simple to just go back and measure and track that progress, because we now have it on there. Did I, in the last month, have 80,000 views of my business on social media? Right. So that's number 4, measuring your progress. And then the other piece of that is also adjusting. As you start to push more out, you start to notice, oh, this is a very hefty advertisement cost. Maybe I should reduce this. Maybe I should change this. Maybe instead there's some factor I'm not looking at for getting more views of my business or visits, right? Maybe there's certain things I can do in the store with each individual customer to make sure that they come like bring other people again or visit the store again. Maybe I didn't account for the fact that there's multiple visitors. Instead, maybe I don't need to have a new visitor every time. Maybe 25% of my business is return visitors. So you can start to see some of that stuff and figure out different ways to adjust as you're measuring your progress. Obviously, a big part of it is that you need to stay motivated through that process, especially if you don't meet some of those goals, because you're massively taking a huge goal, whether it's a huge goal, small goal, whatever it is, you're taking that goal and breaking it down to the very minuscule. And sometimes there are things you don't account for. So that's step 5, stay motivated Stay motivated and focused on your goals. If you don't make it, you miss a week, you miss a day, or you miss a financial goal, whatever the case is, just readjust, get right back on the horse. You'll be fine. All right. And so I want to make sure that you guys understand the power of reverse engineering your goals and 5 different steps to make sure that you are doing it effectively as well. Hope that was good. Hope that was good for you. And if it was great for you, please do me a favor. Like the podcast, like the recording, like the video, share with your friends on how they should be. If they're a business owner and they're not reverse engineering their goals, or let's say that they don't know how, just have them connect, right? 1, have them watch the video, and 2, connect. But what I want to do is actually go through and reverse engineer some goals, because there are a lot of individuals that I work with, and I want to make sure that I have a great space for them to come to be able to reverse engineer their goals. So we're going to do that here. We're going to do that together, and I'm going to give another good example of reverse engineering goals. All right. So here's an example for me. And this is actually something that I do, honestly, I am working towards. So I have learned that for me, and for what I want, I'm going to put my goal over here. I want to be able to, one, I want to build and create and fund total mental health clinics for military. I spent some time myself in military mental health clinics, and there's not a culture designed for us there. And it's something that I want to be able to have with a great culture design for us. All right. Another thing that I truly want to be able to do is to create a band ensemble, orchestra ensemble, whatever the case is, that is international, that allows us to be able to, or that allows the entire organization to be able to let underprivileged children travel and learn all about cultures and music. Both of these are going to cost a crap ton of money. So this one is going to be, I just dramatically messed that up. This one is going to be $500,000 a year to fund the goal that I want. And this one is going to be about $750,000 to fund what I want. So a total of $1.2 million a year is what I need to make in order to fund these both per year. To fund them both per year. And so how do I go and reverse engineer making $1.2 million? $1.2 million. $1,250 million per year. How do I do that? And this is huge, because if I'm going to do this on the business that I build, what I know in my mind is, well, if I average about 23% of the income of the business that I build, that means I need to make, or that means I need to figure out what 23% of this is, or excuse me, I need to figure out what 23% of my business that I generate will do to pay me as I'm working and building up my business. All right. So this is where we get into business owners here. So if you're a business owner, you're going to love this. All right. So if you want to make a certain amount of money per year, and you know just how much income your business does, for instance, let's say that you're a McDonald's franchise owner, and you know that if your business does, we'll say $1 million a year, and you know that on average you want me to take home about $150,000 after all the bills and things like that, you can figure 1 divided by 1 million. It's about 15%. So you now know that your income, your take home, equals 15% of whatever your business does. So whatever your McDonald's does, you're going to make 15% of, or you're going to be able to take that home. So for me, I know that whatever my business does, I'm able to take home 23%. All right. And I'm going to erase this. Actually, nope, I'll leave that there. So if I want to take home $1.25 million, I need to reverse engineer and figure out how much money they need to have done. For instance, if I'm a McDonald's employer or if I'm a McDonald's franchisee, I know, well, if I want my income to be $200,000 this year, I need to figure out, well, $200,000 divided by 15% will mean that my McDonald's itself needs to do however much money, $1 million that year. All right. So what I'm going to do is take $1.25 million divided by 0.23, because I make 23% of my business. And that means that my business needs to do $5.4 million. We'll just say 5.5 million. So this means that my business needs to do $5.5 million a year in order for me to fund both of these organizations that I want to be able to fund. All right. So what does that mean? How do I get that much income? And so again, now we need to figure out all the little bitty tiny details. Well, I know that because of my business, if I help out one family, that's an average of about $6,000 worth of business. I'm not saying that like if you were to work with me, you pay me $6,000. No. That's just like the dollar value amount of the business that I help you with. All right. So for instance, it's like if you go to a tax professional who, like whenever I used to do taxes for, military, I would get a value at the end of helping them with their taxes. Like, hey, in order to prepare these taxes, they just saved $3,000. They just saved $5,000, whatever the case is, a value, right? So for me, I know that the value of my average client, my average family that I help, is about $6,000, which means that in my company, in my business, the average family can be $6,000 worth of business, which means that now I know exactly how many clients. Well, I can figure out how many clients per year my business needs to help. So if I'm at $5.5 million I'm going to divide it by my average family help. That's 916 families. So we'll say 917 families need to be helped per year in order for me to actually be able to pocket $1.25 million. Okay. Now, if that's how that is going, from there, how often can I be able to help out that many families? Me and my business, how large of a company do I need to have built up of people who want to help out with this? Well, let's say that I simply have just 100 people on my team, 100 people that I employ, right? I'm a medium-sized company, right? Small company up to 50, large company up to medium, like 50 to maybe 100, 150 employees. And then past that, you get into large business, right? So let's just say I have 100 business partners or people in my team that I've taught, that I've trained, that I lead, right? 100 people. That means that per year, all of them need to help out 9.7 families per year. All right. Now I'm like, well, can 100 people help out 91? Well, no, maybe not, but maybe I need to have a team that's much larger. And so this is where you start to adjust. So I say, well, what if I have 250 business partners? What number does that bring instead? Actually, I'm going to bring this here. 250 business partners. Well, come down here. 917 divided by 250 is about 3. Oh, we'll round it up to 4. So 4 families, for average families per year, per business partner on my team. We do that, I'll be able to fund, or I'll be able to take this home to be able to fund both this and both this. My mental health clinic, my family, and the international band ensemble that I want to be able to help with children and culture. So that means now I know, well, I can build up a business, and I can build up a large business at that, right? Large business, teach and train them. Well, how long will that take? Depends. How many employees can I bring into my business per year? I can say, well, if I bring in 25 employees or business partners per year, who all want to work towards this same goal of helping military, helping children per year, that's going to take me 10 years to have this. To have the size company that I need to have that are going to be able to help me out with this. And now I know, well, in 10 years, I can fund both of these two. 10 years, I can fund both of these two, and also make sure that I'm changing families' lives forever. And that is how you would reverse engineer your goals. Well, what kind of things can I do in order to help this out? And this is something, honestly, that even if I was a McDonald's employee, if I was a McDonald's franchisee, that they do as well. A lot of times they want to be able to donate. There's a Ronald McDonald. Ronald McDonald house. And they get millions upon millions of dollars. And so let's say that I'm that McDonald's franchisee owner, and I know for a fact that I want to be able to fund $500,000 a year towards Ronald McDonald House. I need to figure out what that means. So let's say that, for instance, if I want to do that and I want that to come out of my own pocket, I know I make 15% of the profit, of 15% of what my McDonald's does. Let's say I only have one McDonald's. Let's say I have two McDonald's. 15% of what all of this does, I need. Actually, I messed up. That should not be $1. So 15%, 500,000 divided by 0.15, 3.3 million. So we just round it and say $3.4 million is what my McDonald's need to do. Well, I have one McDonald's that does $1 million. So if I have one McDonald's that does $1 million a year, now I know I need ultimately almost 4 total McDonald's in order to do that. So now I know I need to open up 4 McDonald's to be able to fund this. All right. So now I know that to be able to do this per year, because otherwise I'm not going to be able to do this just on my income alone. if I need 15% per year to make me $500,000, I need to do $3.4 million a year as a McDonald's franchisee owner. And if only one of them does $1 million a year, well, I need to go ahead and open up more. So now I got 4 McDonald's that I have to be able to do that. Now let's just say that I'm not there all the way just yet. Let's say I'm at 4, but now all 4 of these, on average, they're doing a total of $750,000. Right now, instead, now they're doing $750,000. Well, per year, that means that now I really need to kick them into action. And I can figure those things out by adding my steps. Well, 1, I've already opened up more at McDonald's. So now maybe I need to increase customer satisfaction. Maybe another thing I can do is do more volunteer stuff in the neighborhood, volunteer in community to get more people to come to my McDonald's. Maybe one thing I need to do to increase this is hire better staff. So I need to increase retention currently and attract quality managers. Right? So many things I can do because I just reverse engineered my goal. So many things. And then now I can have major impact in the world. Major impact. And then let's just say you just want money, because you have other things you want to do with your money, like fund your family's trust or whatever the case is. You can do that as well. I hope this was great. I hope this was huge for you. And with that, if you do need assistance with actually learning how to actually break it down and reverse engineer, you have to figure out all of your different business ratios, your P&Ls and all that kind of stuff. There's tons of company owners, CEOs, business owners out there who use and have the P&Ls. A lot of times their accountants just have them, and their accountants just tell them, hey, this is where you're at. You're up, you're down, and things like that. It should not stop there. If you want to be an effective business owner, an effective leader, you need to do those things. Now that you have those numbers, what can you do with those numbers? Set your goals. Set your goals for your business, for your company. For if you let's say you have multiple stores, you franchise multiple stores, you have 50 different stores, and some stores and some locations are up, and some stores and some locations are down. Start to make individual goals and reverse engineer them and track the progress. Track the progress. I promise you, it'll do you so much better. And I might be talking from experience, not my experience, but from the experience of it would do you so much better as a CEO of your company to go and say, hey, we are down. These are the steps that we need to do to get up. This is the end goal. And this is the progress. This is the path that we're going to take to get there. You know how much more effective that is than saying, why are we down? You're not doing enough sales. You're not doing enough this. You're not doing enough that. Well, you're right. Neither are you, because you don't even know, you don't even have a goal. What is your end goal, right? It has to start from there. And then you need to start to reverse engineer, bring it backwards, figure out exactly where you were, or where you want to be. And then deeply analyze with those ratios, with your P&Ls and with your numbers and everything else, where you want to go, how you get there in that entire path. Make sure you account for those random obstacles that'll come in a way as well, because they're going to happen for sure. All right. Now, I've taught you also a couple different ways to be able to track, to be able to break down those milestones. One, if it's money or financial, remember 40% in the first half, 6% in the second half, and that's because of momentum when it comes to money. All right. But when it comes to people and things and whatever the case is, you can break it down the other way I showed you, where you break it all the way down to the week. to the day, to the month, to the year, whatever the case is. If you have a 20-year plan and you know that you're starting a business now, you have a 20-year plan, start with now your 20-year plan. In 20 years, where do you want to be? If in 20 years, you want to be a company that has 5,000 employees, hey, you can start to reverse engineer that all the way down to now. That means looking at, well, if I want to have 5,000 employees in the future, what kind of things do I need to do now? And along the way, for me, I know I want to have 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. Well, I can break that down all the way to the minute and say, well, if I get on average 0.3 subscribers per video, that means I need to do 4 videos to get 1.2. So 4 videos gives me at least one subscriber. So that means if I need 100, if I want 100,000 subscribers, I need 400,000 videos. Well, I can say that, but also because momentum is going to increase, right? Things like that. And so it'll become much easier. Those ratios will continue to go up. And you track the ratios and you adjust as you're tracking your business, as you're tracking your ratios, as you adjust as you're failing, or as you don't necessarily hit this milestone or this goal, whatever the case is. So yeah, but I hope that has been helpful and very, very necessary. I love goal setting. Goal setting is one of my favorite topics to talk about here, because I think goal setting is a huge piece of the blueprint to your success. It is. It truly, truly, truly is. And if you can identify exactly what your end goal is, why it's so powerful to reverse engineer, you're going to be able to accomplish whatever goal. And let's even say, and this is a great leader of mine, Kevin McGinnis, he says it all the time. If you only reach 70% of your goal, you got so much further than you would have if you didn't even set the goal in the first place. So I'll leave you guys with that. You guys have an amazing evening, an amazing week. Sorry that I actually did this a little bit later today, but still got it done for you guys. I love you all. Have a beautiful day, and I shall see you guys tomorrow morning with a guest.
Just pivot the focus. Turn your eyes to something else. Distract your mind. Stop focusing on the pain and focus on other things. I don't care what the situation is, and I don't care how long you've been grinding. There's always a positive turn. There's always a different perspective that you can lean into that will distract you from that loud-ass voice telling you to quit. In order to become a diamond, not only do you got to deal with immense pressure, you got to deal with immense heat, and you got to get cut. You don't just wake up and decide to be a diamond. It's not like you just pull that rock out the fucking ground and it looks like the thing everybody wants. What you focus on will become your reality.